Today is first fruits. In fact, it started Thursday. It began on Thursday, but today we're going to honor and acknowledge first fruits. You know, this is not a repetitive thing, but this is just a declarative thing because we keep on coming back and we're trying to seed into your lives the richness and the purpose that God has given us. First fruits, it takes on the name Genesis or beginnings or first. It's a Genesis principle that God had put into the earth and has instilled in our lives from the foundation of the world. It's the dedicating of first things to God. We see that expressed in so many ways when Cain and Abel had come to God. And we've seen it in the city of Jericho. We've seen it, and God moves. God is desirous of the first things in life, so that everything else in our lives can truly fall into place. We can be healthy. Everything can fall in place because we start doing the first things correctly. We will not only find ourselves aligned with Him, but we also find ourselves in order with this. You know, it's nothing worse. I don't know about you guys as how you try to function in disorder. Who loves to function in disorder? Yeah, now see, I know that right there touched on a sore spot with Kathleen. She's going. I hate this. Me too. You know, I've sat there to try to get tedious and write things down, but God wants us to function our lives in order. I am so glad for this Messianic awakening. I'm so glad for this Hebraic thought, because if nothing else, in ourselves, within our lives, I was functioning out of order. But I feel like I'm bringing myself back in sync, because now it's like I align myself with God's moeds. I align myself with this thinking. I understand how He's trying to get me to align myself back with covenant thinking. All those things are trying to get my life in order, get my spirit lined back up with how God would have me to walk. First fruits is about that. It's talking about getting yourself back in line. This is not talking about tithes or free will offerings or things of nature, because we give to God all the time. But it's the first that's precious. It's the first that are precious and that should be identifiable. That's what we come in each month with each Rosh Chodesh. It is the beginning of time, the beginning of that month, and it establishes the first of not only the month, but our time for aligning ourselves with God's order, bringing the first, the best. In essence, the principle, again, as it can be summed up in first fruits establishes, you know, the destiny of everything else He's given me. If I can do this right, I can do all things right. I can do all things right. I want my seed, I want my efforts, I want my time, I want my talents, I want my heart be aligned in a Genesis principle, in a beginning principle, God, so that I can function correctly on earth. I don't want to be like one of those cars. You ever see those cars coming down the street, spitting and sputtering, out of time. You know, they look good on the outside, and they can they can start up even, but it's just clunky. Because although it may get you to your destination, clunky, it's out of time. It's out of order. And I want my life to be in order. So I want to be able to acknowledge first fruits. It's more than a word, it's a principle, a Genesis principle that God's put in our lives to get our lives in order. Amen? We should be mindful of that. When Adar walked in today, he created this piece, and he came in and he handed it to me. First, when he started putting it together, it came in undone. He handed me the pole. He pulled out the wheel. I'm like, he said, this is my first fruits gift. I said, really? He said, this is for you, the first fruits. He started screwing together, and I didn't see any more poles. And I'm thinking, like, well, what is it, a one-legged stool? I don't. He kind of smiled. Then he brought it up, set it down, and grabbed my shofar and set it in place. I said, that is cool. I said, I like that. That's so cool. But that was his heart. He says, I was thinking about this, the first fruits. So every time I look over there, I put that in place, I'm going to keep thinking that was a wonderful gift of the heart, the first fruits. Thank you. Thank you. We're in the month of Adar. I just want to give an overview of this month that we're in right now so that we can get a feel. Because, you know, I just hear over and over as we start getting into acknowledging Rosh Chodesh, the new moon, and things of this nature, it said that this was something that was always part of God's equation. It wasn't part of our equations as Goyim, as Gentiles, as part of my Christian expression, because I didn't understand it. I didn't know about it. But they said that in the old, they said the Jews would seek out the prophets and the teachers during the first of the month so that they can let them understand, they can speak to them and give them insight as to what this month is going to unfold for them. They will get wise directions so they know how to function. So what we've done now, been able to do as we come into a knowledge of Rosh Chodesh and the new moon, is to sit down and say, okay, what does this month hold for us? How should I function? I want to be in God's time. What is he unveiling to me? How is he going to nurture me during this season? That's different from the last season. And so the month of Adar in itself speaks of a completed cycle. It's the 12th month. It's the end of a cycle. But see, what comes in that is that, I come to realize God has cycles that he's placed in the earth. And in these cycles are built so that they can draw out our identities. They can draw out those personality traits, those things that he's trying to develop in us. So I need to understand, how am I going to function this month? What are you trying to do to me this month? What do I lack? If God lets me know as I walk through this time that there's things that's going to be unfolding, coming through your life, because I want you to understand what you have hidden in you. Sometimes we don't know what we had hidden in us until we're brought to an area of sudden urgency or something. All of a sudden you think, you may turn on and say, I didn't know I could sing. I didn't know I can do this. I didn't know I had it in me until something was presented. And this month, with the fall and everything else, God is trying to let us know I've been using my cycles. Each Rosh Chodesh, each cycle that's unfolded in the earth to draw to personalities, your identities. Just like that apple seed. I can get that apple, and I open it up and look at apple seed, and look at a little dicky seed in the inside. It looks nothing like its full expression. Plant it and let it go through a cycle. And all of a sudden you reach up and you get this fruit that has been nurtured and come to full fruition to what it really was. It didn't look like this, but it looked like this. And that's what God is doing to us. It speaks in terms of a completed cycle. The word Adar itself means strength. But it's more than just brute strength. That's more than just might. It's not speaking that. It means, it talks in terms of exceedingly glorious might. Something that's exceedingly glorious. Strength. God would have us to know that this month, our goal this month, as we go through our different changes and things in life, is not to let the giants produce fear in us. This month, we've all been going through changes. We all have problems. We all have different issues, whether good or bad. We all are going through something. But what is the essence of why I'm going through what I'm going through? And he says, don't let the giants produce fear in you. See, because it could be different things, whether it be how I'm going to function this day on my job, how I'm going to pay this bill, how I'm going to get the car started, how I'm going to raise the kids. Everything seems formidable. Things can seem big in your life. But see, those things can get magnified because we don't have the proper perspective to understand what is he doing in these things. I heard someone say, the thought of saying, you can look at a glass and say, is it half empty or half full? What's your perspective of it? Now, if God is doing something, if I'm being confronted with an issue today, he wants me to understand that he hasn't left me nor forsaken me. He's mindful of all things. But again, the whole goal this month, he wants us to, he said, don't let the giants, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, produce fear in you. Again, for every month, it's not only the month itself, but there's a stone that has been associated with it. And in the stone, this month, the stone is an amethyst. You see a lot around, might look around at the leadership of different people was running around wearing purple because that is the color for this month. I was talking about the gemologists. Gemologists? gemologists. When I started trying to understand and try to get into all the things with stones, I wanted to get into their minds because these people make a living, make a life researching and understanding those things. Now, whether we embrace it or not, I just know that why would God end up marking a stone for a month? He has something in mind. He's having something that we recognize. Why would he take and place the stones upon the breastplate of the high priest? When he says this, there's something that we may not see, but God lives in a whole other dimension, but he's saying something why he would attach it, something to it. So in doing so, I need to go back and just try to understand, what do they say about things? They say, for example, this amethyst is known for its quality of protection. It enhances the vision and your prophetic sight. It's known also to reduce mental tensions, strain. So it has somewhat of a medicinal feeling about it for healing. So what's he telling us? This month, you may get going through a lot of different changes, maybe going through a lot of different strain. One of the things you may deal with might be health issues. But God lets you know that he's mindful of your physical being. And he is not going to allow you to end up going through those physical ailments where his gift is healing and restoration and wholeness. God's going to strengthen us this month. He also links a tribe with the month. The tribe is a tribe of Naphtali. The tribe itself, if you look at the tribe or the personality, they have characteristics that are relevant to us this day. Like, for example, the tribe Naphtali, it means, his name, Naphtali, means with great wrestlings, I have prevailed. I've wrestled, I fought, I endured. So this month you may feel like you are being encompassed with thoughts. You might find yourself wrestling or fighting with ways or issues that seem like they keep coming. Naphtali is telling you, he says, I've wrestled, but I have prevailed. In Genesis 4:49-21, that's where you start speaking about Naphtali as such. His name speaks in terms of one who springs forth with great speed. The scribes and the historians, the issue, they said that he provides good news. I was reading some of the scribes, and they're speaking in terms of saying that when you look at the tribe of Naphtali, he was very fast and very honoring to his father, which is very good. Moses looked at him, and when he spoke over him in Deuteronomy 33:23, Moses said, he's abounding with the favor of God and is full of his blessings. Let me be a Naphtali. I would love to just be abounding and be full, strengthened by God's favor and full of his blessings. So God's let us know this month that blessings will abound. The richness will abound. In the revealing and strengthening of our personalities and ourselves, be prepared, be anticipating, be expecting for favor and blessings heavily in this month. The Hebrew letter that's attached to as well is a letter Kaf. Within that letter itself, it speaks in terms of laughter, of joy. This is the month of joy, of anticipation of joy. It also speaks in terms of those things that are hidden being revealed. That speaks to us personally, talking about our personalities that we feel like we've been in a masquerade. I'm acting one way in front of you, but that's not the real me. God is looking for the real me to come forth. Kind of like what we saw in this month of Purim that deals with Esther and Hadassah. See, the question comes in is when you look at Esther and Hadassah, the question comes in, who was the real Esther or Hadassah? Her name was changed to Esther, although with the birth name being Hadassah. Why? Because they had to hide who she was. But then the question comes in, She stayed Hadassah without the change in the atmosphere, without the pressure of stuff, which she had always been a queen, which she had always been able to rule. But it was the persecution, it was the change-up, it was the Ahasuerus moving vastly. The situations changed that brought Hadassah, who had been very content to walk as a maiden, as a little Jewish, in common life. But God says, from birth, I've already seen the situation. I already understood the whole plot. I understood what took place. He says, and I have prepared her and set her in a spot. Why? Because even Mordecai had to come back and says, who knows that for such a time as this, I was looking at you as just a Jewish niece. I was looking at you as a child. But God was looking at you as a queen that was going to change history. He birthed you and tucked you away in my stead, because inside you, the true you was one that had the courage to walk before Ahasuerus, to walk into that room. The first thing come out of her mouth, no, if I go there, I'll die. But when he understood it's for such a time as this, she said, then I'll die. If I die, I die. But the true her came forth. And she was set aside to save a nation, save a people, and change history. That's what God's looking for us. He's looking for us to remove the masquerade. Also, in that word, kaf, it's speaking in terms of the way it looks. It also means like a palm or a hand. A hand, like something that contains something. Something that can pick up and use to contain something. What do you mean contain something? What the Jews look at, what's contained in the hand is the same way as when they evoke a blessing. The Father has the ability to give, or as they speak a blessing. The hand contains a blessing, so what they end up putting their hands upon the people as they endow them, to impart into them, to give them something. Also, the shape of the letter comes with the humility of who we are and what we should be doing during this month. It means to bend. They say it to bend or to bow down. You know, the humblest in spirit. You know, it speaks in terms of my prayer or the humility that I should take. Not arrogant, not prideful, not boastful, not gaudy, but humble. Humility. The title for today's study as we go forth. The title for today's study is Adar, the month of transformation. A month of transformation. You know, again, this month is about transforming. The things that's coming at us, well, he's trying to reveal the real us, the real you. In fact, Paul emphatically addresses this principle over in Romans 12, 1 and 2. In which he says, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice. He says that as a living sacrifice. He says, I appeal to you. You know, the only person who can take, if he's talking about sacrifice, he's speaking in terms of the priesthood. He's looking upon us, or God looks upon us at this time, or he's speaking as a spiritual priest. Because not anybody who take the sacrifice to the altar. It's the priesthood who can take them to the altar. He says, I appeal to you to present your bodies as a living sacrifice. So as a spiritual priest, present your whole being. Why my whole being, this whole body? He said, because it is a soul's instrument in the service of God. The only way I can come at him is through my body, my means, my members. So Paul's telling me to take this as a living sacrifice. In other words, present yourselves alive unto God. You know, he don't want you to bring something dead. He don't want you to be all dead in your sins or dead things. Those things cannot approach the altar. Those things cannot approach the altar. Live. He says, which is holy and acceptable unto God, which is your spiritual worship. I love the part when he says this. And be not conformed to this world that you're bringing in. Why? He says, this is what's transformed in this month. If you're going to go through a month of transform, he says, don't be conformed to this world. Don't be shaped or find yourself blending, conforming, blending yourself into the corrupt customs and systems of this world and all of its wicked ways. It's easy for me just to blend. You know, I can try and talk about, you know, the holiness and all that I may have, but I can turn out and alter and shape the things I do because around me all the time, and I hear people say it like this, well, everyone's doing it. Not everyone. Not everyone. You can conform or you can stand firm to what God is dealing with you and what God is saying to you. Not everyone's doing it. He said, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. That's what this month's about. Be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind. In other words, to be regenerated and changed in your whole man. If I'm going to be transformed, I've got to be regenerated and changed within my being, which I brought to him as a living sacrifice. And the powerfulness of this is it all begins in the mind. The renewing has to happen in your mind. Because your mind's going to decide what you're going to do with that body, where you're going to go, what you're going to do, how you're going to sacrifice. It's all happening within the mind. For this is where his Spirit is working. He's trying to work upon our minds. This month, it'll be heavy. It's a month of transformation. Why? That by testing, you may discern what is the will of God for your life, what is good and what is acceptable and what is perfect. May the spirit of discernment heighten in me this month, Lord. God, that I may see as a living sacrifice. As I'm, you know, he says, as you're testing. What do you mean you're testing? He's speaking of something more of that. He's speaking in terms, this word testing goes through even to trials and through issues, things that pose themselves. By my issues, the testing, the trials I'm going through, may heighten my discernment that I may be able to see and function differently this month. God, I can mope and grope and try and think like, well, woe's me, or I can have a discernment and say, God, what are you doing? What are you pulling out of me? What is this about? This is not just happening. You know, with that thinking, I'm thinking, like, what is the biggest detriment we deal with in our minds? What is the biggest issue that comes forth in our minds that would hinder us from being what God would have us to be? Fear. Fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of inexperience. Fear is a silent killer. It grips the mind and keeps us from even trying. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what I should do. God, you know, what if this happens? Or what if this don't happen? Or it's better for me just to stay like I am. God, I know that you bring an issue before me. I'm trying to get better, but God, I just don't know, so I'm not going to do anything. I'll just stop. I can't worry about those things. Fear. A silent killer. And again, I'll grip the mind and keep you from even trying. You know, when I thought about that, I said about this thing with this fear, it made me think. First thing I was thinking about, my mind went to King Saul. When the King Saul, when he was confronted by Goliath. I thought that was interesting. Why? See, because when Goliath stepped out and started bellowing, send me a man that we may face him. Put everyone else away. Put all other stuff away. Send me a man that we can settle this once and for all. He kills me, we'll serve you. If I take him out, you'll all serve me. Saul was the king. He stood head and shoulders taller than any man in Israel. In fact, that's the one thing that's made him stand out because of his height. God says, he said, in the people's eyes, everyone's impressed by the size of him. That's what they want. People said, give us a king. He said, I'll give you a king. And I'll get everything else to go with it. So he gives him Saul. Saul's tall, head and shoulders taller than anyone. But when Goliath stepped out, nowhere in experience, nowhere in battle has Saul ever faced anyone who was taller than him. The bigness of him. So when he saw the first thing, instead of him being confident or trying to fight or trying to stand forth, even try to initiate the battle, he was frozen in his tracks. Fear. He's never seen anything like it. His mind froze and he was even unprepared. Didn't know what to do. Inexperienced. See, we can all face that same situation. There's many issues that come in our lives. As a homeowner, I remember I first got the house. I never had a house before. And I always seen houses. And I remember I used to tell Mom, Mom, she's trying to raise 8 of us, 10 of us, with my uncle and my cousins and people coming over. And my father died early. She's all by herself. She's working 2 or 3 jobs and everything else. You know, kids, when you're young, you don't have the right perspective on stuff, but you think you know everything. I don't know how come the older I get, the dumber I get. When I was younger, I thought I knew everything. And all of a sudden you start thinking well, I don't know as much as I thought I knew. I go to Mom's house. Because I don't understand rent. I don't understand mortgages. I don't understand what she went through to buy the house. I don't understand how she got this house. When my friends lived in a better house over here, how come we don't go over there and buy a house over there? Don't understand none of the economic dynamics, do nothing. Just a kid, wise kid. Could walk to her house and go like this, when I get a house, I'm gonna have, now look at these doorknobs, these old cheap old doorknobs and stuff. I've seen some better doorknobs than that. I'm gonna have a really polished doorknob. I've seen some of these movies and stuff where they got elaborate doors and frames and stuff. That's the kind of house I'm gonna have. That's the kind of, Mom, you should go down and get these kind of ornate frames and put around the house and stuff instead of just that door. And then you walk in here and there's this carpet's, it's all faded and kind of worn. And so I had new plush carpet throughout this whole thing. I seen some stuff on TV, those commercials, all this plush carpet that's your feet sink into and people lay back in. That's the kind of carpet I'm going to have in my house. And we're going to have nice chairs and stuff instead of these old aluminum chairs that the little green padded seat on them and stuff. I'm going to have, the kind of, those wood ones. I see them in stores, where you kind of wheel around and sit on them and they got the armrests and stuff, I'm just telling all this stuff. Until you start getting your own home. And you go down to the hardware store and you find out how much that door cost. How much? I can't afford that kind of door. What other door frames you got? And they start getting some things out. And then you start understanding the dynamics of economics, because you start thinking well, if I buy that door, then I have no much money for the carpet. And if I buy that door and get that knob I want, I don't know if I can be able to eat this month. Well, I better get something that works in the house. I just need a door. And all of a sudden, all my useful thoughts went out. What about this door? How much is it? What about how much is it? Okay, that one, I can afford that one. Here's that big plush carpet. How much? Oh, geez. For how big a room? I can only get a piece big enough to fit in my foyer. I was going to do the whole room like that. That's okay, we'll go with linoleum. That looks nice. You can roll that out and that will fill the whole floor, cover up all the nicks and everything else. And see, your perspective changes. So, when I got the house, I go in there, I got my first house, and then sitting there, got everything plugged up stuff, and had to go down and get the water company, get the water on. And I flipped on the water switch, and water was shooting from every wall. Because it's an older home, you know. Oh, shut it down. Now I had to learn how to solder, fix stuff, labor and stuff. Then you go down and try to get the solder. How much? The pipe. How much? I just need a knob to shut off. How much is that? Then I started going back home and look at Mom and said, this is a nice house. This really works. Because now I'm speaking from experience. See, I wanted to go out and cut the lawn. You know, I kept waiting. My mind just seemed leader to beaver. When I get my own house, I'm going to have a white picket fence and nice grass and stuff and little swing set on the porch and stuff. Went out there and they tried to tell me how much a lawnmower is. How much? Well, I don't have to cut that much. We'll just cut this part of the yard over here. And we'll let the other part be a garden or something. I can't. Everything changes when the real issues come into play. See, I can speak now when my kids come out. They'll come on. I only got one, so I can't talk about Melissa. Melissa's too brilliant. But I listen to all my little nieces and nephews talk to the mom. This is an old cheap house. I'm thinking like, you guys sound just like me. Go out and get your own place. You pay your own rent. And you get your own food in the cupboards. And you pay for the stuff. And you keep the car running. You pay for the gas. Then come back and talk to me. Then see what kind of conversations we have. See, you can speak that way because you have experience. You've gone through something. You can speak that way because now you're not speaking ignorantly because you understand something. I've gone through things. I've been hungry and I've been full. I've had the lights on, had lights off. I have plumbing issues. Now I'm speaking, I'm going back over to Mom's house and Dad's house and looking at them guys saying, this is a nice place. You need to, you know, I can go down here and fix some things now. Fear grasps your mind. What Saul see, we've seen that. He said, I've never been to battle. I don't even know how to fight someone tall. I can't do anything. So you get locked up because you have no experience. Nothing's happening your way. Totally froze. Who in the world can fight somebody like that? Yet, in the midst of all that, tucked away in a little field someplace was a little shepherd boy who was experiencing life's testing. See, I used to look at David out there just in the field doing the Psalms. But I can see him. He loved God, writing Psalms, you know, and going about his life thing. He's doing what's expected. Who in the world would think a lion would come up into his way of living and start biting on his sheep? He's responsible for it. He ain't done anything for it. He's got them all sit around a crowd, but he had anticipated a lion come up. And when that lion came up, I bet you David was going like this. You know, he might be out there saying, all of a sudden thinking, oh God. You know, he's trying to think, what am I going to do with this? You know, how am I going to handle this? He grabbed that slingshot and probably start off by saying, yeah, ah! He ain't going, that wasn't going to get it. He probably tried to throw him, that's not going to get it. Probably got the slingshot, boom. Okay, see, in the midst of that struggle, after screaming and jumping and falling, I'll learn something, you'll knock you in the head, and put him away. And probably thought, after that, he wasn't there just yet, but he had a prophetic utterance. Thank you, Jesus. Or thank you, God. No. Because you imagine he could give God all glory. Because he's chasing him away. And then when he chased him away, he didn't anticipate a lion jumping out. I'm minding my own business. A lion comes up, jumps on the sheep, and grabs it and takes off running with him. He probably goes, ah! And probably doing the same thing. Ah! And probably doing this, throwing slings, trying to do everything. How am I going to stop this thing, this marauder, these predators that keep coming into my life, into my field, into my job, eating everything? So, he said he wrestled, he snatched that, he said in the scriptures, he said he snatched that lion by his mane and pulled that sheep out of his mouth. He fought and wrestled with that lion to kill that lion. All these different changes that he's going through. In the middle where he wasn't doing anything. What he thought was peaceful, no one knows when this bear is coming in and the lions are coming in and things are coming in attacking his food, his feet fighting this thing. But see, God was training him for battles. Every step was preparing him for his future and his destiny. what looked like adversary, what looked like a mess. He couldn't see it, but God was preparing him. And he started learning. And he was protecting the sheep. That was his task. But God was training him for battles against overwhelming odds. See, he understood it and had to go back and perfect. See, that's when he said he had killed a lion and a bear. He's grabbing these things. What he called himself just doing sheep work. What he redefined that as just to be an enemy. Ain't nothing but the devil coming in here taking my sheep. No, you don't understand all what God's doing in the midst of the trial, in the midst of the testing, in the midst of the shaping. Because in David, he had no idea that in him was a giant killer. He thought he was a shepherd, but God said, I see a king. And everything was being developed. So, what Saul was frozen and didn't know what to do when David entered that field. He came across that path where Saul was frozen. David's faith arose. When David looked out there, he probably looking, let's get. Well, he looked when he seen it. His faith and all that stuff is happening behind the scenes, and all those issues he's dealing with, and all those complications. That thing that looked like a mess that he was dealing with. These things that come inside where he's seen that God was faithful with him. As he maintained that same ability. Now when he's seen with Saul the king and all the army is frozen, what David said, he looked at him, what did he say? Shoot, nothing. I've killed both lions and bears and then tigers. I'm fighting everything. What did he say? To me, he is no different than that bear. He's dressed different, but that bear didn't stop me, nor did that lion. Those issues I had before, he says, from that experience and all the fear and all the doubt and all the worry had come full to bear. So when he stood before Goliath, and Goliath was bellowing at him, telling him, I'm going to take you. What am I, some dog? I'll take you and I'll feed you to the birds. And David looked at him, all that roaring. You come at me with that spear and a sword, but I'm coming at you in the name of the Lord, the one that took me from the lion, from the bear, and everything else. It's not me you're fighting God. And I will feed your carcass to the birds today. And then all the army and the soldiers, the king, and everybody looked at him and says, what audacity has he got? What kind of chutzpah has this guy got? Because he's been out in the pasture. And he's been shaped. He's been molded. He's been prepared. He's been sitting on the potter's wheel. And the potter's been shaping him and molding him and making him so that he can arrive where he needs to be. You know, the thing is so awesome is that they said, after you come out the potter's wheel, our most precious time in life is when we are being transformed by the hand of God. When God is molding us and shaping us, we may not see it. That he says. See, what transpires is, when David's out in the field, oftentimes during the middle of all the trials and all the frustration, all that's taking place, everything that seemed like hell itself is coming at you. He says, often during this process, see, we don't understand, we don't have no roadmap. He says, oftentimes we can see no more clearly into the future than David could. He didn't know a Goliath was coming. He didn't know how he was being prepared. All he knew that he was taking one step at a time. God was molding, shaping him. He had just been faithful and firm, one step at a time, being transferred from a shepherd boy to a king. And he's moving with each step. All David thought about is, I'm just taking care of the sheep. So he had to take care of what God had prepared for him. And God was still transforming him, letting him know that that's not where I have you to be. I got more for you. See, I may not understand all the events. I may not understand all the happenings. I may not understand what's going on. I don't know all that. But one thing I do know, that there's a bigger plan than what I'm seeing. Something else has been revealed. I may not understand it, but I know that my God is firm. I know that my God is sure. I know that he won't leave me. See, this month, during this month, we need to ask God to keep our hearts free of fear. God, don't let me get all tied up. Don't let my mind freeze up. God, let me understand what you're taking me through, but don't let me just get frozen up in fear. But God, give me the ability to rest my confidence in you, because I know that you're with me through these trials and through these tribulations and these testings and these things that's going on. I may not understand. I can't see it. See, that's why I say I look back now, and I can talk differently to Mom, because I got some experience now. See, I know that in all the things that I've been going through and everything that's happening, I'm not out here alone. So God is mindful of everything. He understands the ins and the outs, why it came and why it's going away. He understands what he's pulling out of us. He knows how he's shaping us. Again, we're on that wheel. He's making us, as this is a month, as he's transforming us so that we can reflect the fullness of who he is. Why? This is Paul trying to says, because I understand when I'm in the midst of it and looking at the glass, not half empty, but half full, then I can turn and say, I know that all things are going to work together for the good. Why? Because I'm about my purpose. Scripture says all things are working together for the good, according to his purpose. See, God knew what was in me. Right? I share this many times. I says, if this is up to me, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. But I remember when God called me out, he looked at me and said, you've always known that ministry is an integral part of your life. I said, but God, I wish I can do it. No, he says, you've always known it. You just didn't want to pursue it. But when I spoke it, it was. But God, I had plans. Yeah, I know. That's how come I said, many are the plans in a man's heart, but my will shall prevail. I have something in you, and I'm going to pull it out of you. And when you look back, you will be glorious. You will be glorious. So this month, my prayer is that we allow God to transform our minds to his perfect will. God, have your way in me. Shape me. Mold me. Use me. God, I want to see me as you see me. There's things in me I can't see, but you've already seen it because you spoke it before you put me in my mother's womb. You placed all the resources around me. The things I thought I was overwhelmed, you shaped me and molded me and guided me. When I look back over my steps, I try and say I could be nothing but a God who could make me come this far. I thought I was going to lose my mind. I thought I was going to lose everything. But when I look back at it, I can be like Paul. He tries and says, I've learned to be content. I learned how to be abound, and I had to learn how to function in lack. I've learned, he says, when I talk about, we look at him and try and say, Paul did this and Paul did that. Paul says, I was shipwrecked, stoned, dropped over a wall, spit upon, beaten. And we think like, isn't he a wonderful guy? Paul said this. But one thing I do know, when it's all said and done, at one particular point, I didn't want even Mark around me. Toward the end of life, John says, bring him. I need him. I need him, and I need everyone around. Pray for me. I put all that stuff, I count it all as dung. I want to know him, and I want to know about what raised him up. I want to know about him and his crucifixion. I want to know about God. And that's what God's doing to us this month. As he's shaping us, as he's molding us, as he's guiding us through our trials, as he's putting us, he said, you're like David in a sheep field. Don't focus on the sheep. Look at my hand as I shape you and I mold you. Your life is a testimony of my glorious grace and my goodness that I have for you. This month is a month about transformation. God wants us to put everything in perspective. He wants you to understand that he hasn't left you nor forsaken you. I'm pulling out the good things, the God things in you, that you may reflect the creative gift I made you to be. Amen? Amen.